So, wow. I just struggled my way through 13 Reasons Why, and I felt like I needed to speak about this series. It is a really popular Netflix show, so I'll assume that most of you watching this video have already seen it. But if you haven't, it does deal with the suicide of a teenage girl, and it can be very heavy to watch. At least, that was my experience. Now, I'm going into personal story mode soon, but first, let's talk about this show. It hurts to watch, right? It's uncomfortable and dramatic and confusing and such a real capture of the high school experience. But what I found the most interesting about this series is that the teens learned absolutely nothing. They were given hours of detailed explanations as to what drove Hannah Baker to commit suicide. And their response was not, "Oh my God, what have we done?" It was just about passing around the blame, calling Hannah a liar, and messing with Clay, even though they seemed very aware that he was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. So Hannah's master plan to teach everyone a lesson and to be mindful of how we treat one another is just wasted. In fact, Hannah's in the spotlight now more than ever, and almost everything that everyone has to say about her is negative. The only difference is that she's not there to defend herself anymore. Okay, so maybe since Hannah is dead, it doesn't really matter what people say. I mean, Hannah's not here, she doesn't feel anything, so she can't care about it. But look at her poor parents, her mother in particular. Hannah was so fixated on leaving her FU tapes that she totally neglected to even leave her parents a real note. And Mrs. Baker is so desperate to find someone to blame, someone that's not herself, that she's suing the school. So while Hannah gets to sidestep the ultimate drama bomb that she set off, all Hannah did was pass the bulk of her pain over to her mom. Maybe I'm being too hopeful here, but I believe the intent of 13 Reasons Why is to show kids that suicide is worthless. It might help stop your pain in that moment, because then you get to avoid what feels like a never-ending crap storm. But look what good Hannah accomplished. Nothing, literally nothing worthwhile came out of her death. All she did was call out her rapist and push Clay and her own mother to the cusp of a suicidal state too. Not to mention Alex, which she basically does kill with her revenge tapes, and Tyler, who's about to go Columbine on everyone. Most of the other kids just moved on with their lives. Sure, they had to fess up to some things that they had done wrong, but sooner or later, all of that would have come out anyways. If not for the tapes. The only people who would still be upset is her own parents, and the rest of the school would have already forgotten about Hannah. Yeah, she'd probably get the yearbook dedicated to her, but then what? She'd be a shadow of a memory, and not even a pleasant memory by her own accounts of high school life. So if the ultimate message of this show isn't supposed to be that suicide is a worthless action, then 13 Reasons Why really missed an opportunity. I want to let each and every one of you know that you are loved. I love you even if I can't always respond to everybody. I care that you are alive and that you are here to comment or share your story. Or just that you're existing at all. Even if you're rude or mean and I ban you from commenting on this channel, I'm still happy that you are among the living. High school is a miserable hate hole, and I don't think anyone gets out without some big emotional scars. But I want you to know that it gets better. You just have to stick around long enough to find out. Even if you are in the worst situation imaginable, it will end. You will come through the other side, and you will hopefully be all the stronger and wiser for it, even if it pains you to remember. Everything will be alright in the end, and if it is not alright, then it is not yet the end. Speaking of which, let's do the story time now. Hashtag stronger than drama. And that's than like Jan with an A, not then like when with an E, because that would be like get stronger and then make drama. Than with an A is a comparative, so you are stronger than drama. For my story, I want to share part of my high school experience because just like when I've spoken about autism in my Sesame Street video, if everyone stays quiet, then everyone thinks they're alone. To skip all the build-up and get right down to the brass tacks, In the summer before my junior year of high school, my absolute best friend in the world hanged herself. I don't want to get overly specific because that's her story and maybe I don't even know the whole situation as well as I think I do. But my perception was her parents were about to find out about some trouble she'd gotten into. And I do want to specify that this trouble had nothing to do with me. I wasn't even consulted in her decision-making process, and I had no clue she was going to hang herself. She just did it. Now, we were not the popular girls in school, and our social clique had whittled away over the last year, but my friend and I were still so close, and I was so broken to find out what had happened. I had the potential to become just like Clay, going crazy, angry at everyone, desperate to know why it happened, and questioning what I did to contribute to the whole thing. But the thing is, my friend, my best friend, didn't die. She was found in time, and she survived with only some big bruises and popped blood vessels in her eyes, both of which faded away after a few weeks. And my friend returned to school after heavy counseling, which should have been the greatest gift in the universe, right? Well, things changed. Suddenly, all the girls who never liked us, never had 2 words to say to us, the ones who whispered behind our backs that my bestie and I were lesbians, they suddenly wanted to be BFFs with my BFF. And bit by bit, I watched her drift away as better, higher quality friends invited her into their world. Then the day came where another student that I barely knew asked me a question. It was a blunt question, asking if what they'd heard about me was true. You can fill in the blank with anything you want. I'm sure most girls have had this headache somewhere in their high school career, but it's more personal than I care to talk about on here, as most rumors about teenage girls are. You know, those things that would never be anyone else's business. So, rumor or not, why in the world would they even question you about it like it's any of their need to know? But the thing is, the rumor going around wasn't true. I mean, it had some true elements which made it believable, but the more dramatic parts were totally bogus. And when I tugged on the strings to find out where this rumor came from, it led back to my bestie who admitted to telling people. She was using me as her scapegoat to explain away why she had hanged herself. She was blaming me. And what's worse, she was telling everybody else in school to blame me too. Because by using me as her excuse, she didn't have to admit to her own wrongdoings or take responsibility for her own actions. Maybe throwing me under a bus wasn't what she meant to do when she opened her mouth, but that's how it worked out. And my life was a nightmare after that. Because since the rumor came from my own best friend, everyone took it as complete fact. My entire life slid right out from under me. People came up and spit in my face. People told me it was my fault my friend tried to kill herself. And maybe worst of all, she started dating our mutual guy friend in our social group, which is when everyone else closed off and I felt completely unwelcome among my own friends. I don't like to play the victim card, but at that time, I felt really victimized. Like my BFF had flipped her mean girl switch on me, and I didn't know or understand why. Hey, to this day, I still don't get it, but maybe she remembers things differently, or maybe she was in panic survival mode at the time. I can't say for sure. But my school life got so bad that I changed schools. Well, I did more than change schools. I stepped out of the drama minefield that was my high school experience. Instead of doing my senior year of high school, I attended a dual enrollment college program so that I could avoid any more high school garbage. I have to say, overall, that was a fantastic decision. I know people tell you to stand strong and face your fears and not to run away from your problems, but you know what? Mental health counts for something too. There's a limit to how many panic attacks and nervous breakdowns you can have, and I don't regret the decision to leave at all. And no, dealing with high school crap is not practice for the real world, because if I'm harassed enough at work, I can go look for a new job or just outright quit. I also get paid to go to work, whereas being tortured in high school is a completely free experience. It feels so whiny for me to be talking about my high school problems now in my 30s because they really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But maybe that's the point. To help illustrate to those of you here now that your high school drama goes away at the end of high school. I believe that you have the right to feel however it is that you feel, and you can't help how you feel. Now, hold on. Your feelings don't give you a free pass on your actions. That is in your control, and you are responsible for that. So you can't help feeling sad or angry, but you can choose how you deal with those feelings and how you respond. Being hurt is not an excuse to physically, mentally, or emotionally hurt someone else or yourself, even if you feel like it's deserved. Watching 13 Reasons Why stirred up so many long-buried memories and emotions for me, and that's okay. I'm happy that my old friend survived and that she thrived after almost ending her life. If she had died, I probably would have followed right behind her, even though her survival almost sent me to an early grave too. But it's also alright for me to have other emotions about how she treated me afterward. Life is complicated. Feelings can be too. I have a life now with a husband and kids, and that old friend isn't a part of it. She doesn't matter anymore. She can't hurt me anymore, but she will always be part of my story. If you're listening and you have a story to share, I invite you to collaborate with me. Make a video about your story. Be as vague as you want. Then leave a comment with the link on this video. Let's make an effort to flood YouTube with the horrible high school stories that we all survived. Then maybe those younger kids who can't see their futures might not feel so alone. Hashtag stronger than drama. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to like, subscribe, and share this video. I've also got a lot of other videos on my channel that you are fully encouraged to go check out. Plus, you can find me on Facebook at Say Halo Goodbye, which is my gamer tag, or Twitter at _Fanily.